Great. Okay, guys, let's start the Insider Roundtable. So today we have a very interesting topic, which is quite growth in a loud hiring world. And so, hi everyone, welcome to the Insider Roundtable. So today's topic, for a long time, it's been my one of my favorite topics. For a long time, growth meant more roles, more headcount, and more noise. So now the reality is different. So there are a lot of tighter budgets, higher increases, etc., and there's a still expectation to deliver. So we are here to talk about the simple question: how do you build strong teams when growth is careful and not chaotic? So to discuss this with me, I have two people who have built teams in very different markets, but with the same obsession for people and performance. So first of all, I would like to welcome Ramesh. Ramesh is the Director of Talent Acquisition APAC at Uber. So hi Ramesh, welcome to this roundtable, and lovely to have you here. And he has scaled TA engines across regions, leading through messy markets and high growth phases with a real focus on performance systems and culture. So, thank you, Ramesh, for joining in. A few words for our audience.
Thank you, Sarvajit. Thanks for inviting me to do this. This is the first of its kind. I'm doing it. I've always kind of declined such a request in the past, but I'm really excited and looking forward. And it's really good to have Pritesh along with me. So I'm looking forward for a fantastic conversation.
Great. Okay, joining him is Pritish Saha, Director of Talent Acquisition at Licious. So he's a tech and product hiring specialist who helped companies like Delivery, Expedia, Airtel, and Make My Trip build their teams and hire thousands. And he's known for treating hiring as a mix of sharp talent judgment, strong storytelling, and modern employer branding. So, Pritish, welcome to the Insta Roundtable. How are you doing? And just to say hi to the audience. Yeah, over to you.
Hey, thank you so much, Sarvajit, for having me. I know, such platforms are, places where most people would want to be. At the same time, I would definitely want to share my experiences with people. At the same time, learn some from Ramesh and the questions that come our way. I'm pepped to be part of this. Thank you.
Great. We'll start with a few big questions on how to think about growth and talent. But before that, let's start with a very personalized one. So, Ramesh, let's start off with you first. Tell us about your journey from childhood to becoming the leader which you are today for our audience.
That's a very good question to start with. I don't know, I find my childhood very interesting. I grew up with my formative years were with my grandparents. So I lived in a remote, self-sufficient village till I was 11 or 12. And the environment that I grew up was very idealistic, principled, socialistic environment where
Mhm.
education was talked about or always instilled into the kids. We were always told like education has the power to change the world or the country, and it is important for individuals. So anybody who had done well on studies were recognized. So that was the environment that I grew up. And then growing up in villages like that, it's always love for the country and also love for cricket. Those are two things always was been there. And because of that reason, growing up, my heroes were Sachin and Gandhi.
Okay.
Uh, so once I finished sixth standard, I moved to a town to for the studies, and as I moved on, I realized that I've hated mathematics.
Okay.
Because of hated mathematics, naturally I moved towards humanities, and then after my 10th, I chose political science, economics, and commerce. And obviously, I've done well as a student, both in primary and post that.
Mhm.
And I think that was the era where the free market was just kicking in India. A lot of economic reforms were happening, and especially the early 2000s, the entire software industry was actually taking off. So as a result, I've taken computer computer applications related course, and then
Okay.
eventually moved on to MBA HR as a backup because I always wanted to go be a civil servant, clear UPSC. But right, UPSC, the pass rate is less than 1%. So I had
Yeah.
to have something to lean on. But then
Mm.
what I thought was a backup became my profession. I started with a company called Intoto, which was a startup into
Okay.
the semiconductors domain. And I worked with wonderful leaders. I've learned recruiting in my first company where there was no job site, no LinkedIn, nothing. Cold calling, headhunting. So where I am and the values that I believe in and the leader that I became, I attribute that to my first two managers and also the leaders that I worked with. Right? See, I always believe in this. Unless you're a scientist, there is no way you can become what you have uh, only based on individual brilliance. Right? It's a function of the environment and the people that you helped by. And also, I'm thankful to my team because what I've learned from the leaders and the team still stays with me. Right, being people friendly, going really fast and moving, and then taking up bold goals that sound sometimes insane. So that defines me as an individual and my leadership style. Yeah, that's a summary of my journey so far.
Great. So very, very eventful uh, life story you have told here from the village to kid and then MBA HR as a backup. That's lovely. Yeah. So Pritesh, what about you? Tell me about how you became a leader from today, like from your childhood. Any anecdotes, interesting anecdotes which you want to put in here?
Yeah, so my story is a little different.
Okay.
I was born and brought up in a Bengali household, but not in
Okay.
Bengal. But I was born and brought up in a place which was erstwhile not a capital, but now a capital, Dehradun. So I've done my
Acha.
schooling from Dehradun, and
Okay.
uh, I was not uh, too interested in studies. Most of my time went into one sport and one sport alone, which was football. So
Okay.
and I eventually wanted to do something in that field, but then my parents, my relatives, they pushed me out of it so that
Mm.
I can earn some money, because football that time was not something that everyone would want to pursue, and we weren't a great nation producing a lot of footballing stars across the world, right?
Okay.
So hence, I had to take up studies a little more seriously, probably
Mm.
after ninth and 10th standard. And I eventually landed up liking computer science somehow,
Okay.
right? So 11th, 12th went into, core science, computer science, and then I pursued my engineering in computer science. So
Okay.
did my engineering from a place named Kalyani in West Bengal, uh,
Mm.
and then joined a service company by the name TCS. Was
Okay.
there for a year and a half and ended up hating it. So
Okay.
was that probably that point of time there was little to no guidance in terms of what one should do in a field like computer science, and whatever comes your way is something that you feel everybody else is doing. So most people in the team that I was, they were only looking forward to probably going abroad, on a
Mm.
any specific client basis, etc. Right? I didn't want to do that, so I wanted primarily to be here in India, try to do something that probably I like doing, because I joined a stream which was more into testing and was not something that was to my liking. Right. I
Mm.
ended up probably, spending most of my time doing things that I did not want to, and then
Okay.
thought, why not switch streams? Why not take up a full time MBA course? And I ended up doing a full time MBA course specializing in HR, and I
Mm.
liked that. Right. So it was not something that I thought I would eventually end up doing. But yes, so as Ramesh said, my backup was marketing and primary was HR, right? So if I did not
Okay.
make myself or a career in HR, I would end up
Mm.
going back to marketing. So that was
Okay.
one thing that I felt would
Mm.
work out. And I started off with HR sales, but
Mm.
then eventually landed up with a startup in Bangalore. I don't know if you're aware. So there was this startup by the name Akosha, which ended up being HealthChat, Tabzo, which was
Okay.
acquired by
Yes.
Amazon Pay, right?
Yes.
So there I got my first taste of talent acquisition, and I felt
Okay.
that this is where I should be. Uh,
Mm.
and then after a short while, I ended up landing in Make My Trip. And
Okay.
there I met one of my very senior mentors who has guided me all through. And a lot of things, as Ramesh said, is an assimilation of what you taught and what you learn when you start growing in the organization, right? So I was of the opinion that talent acquisition is something that will ensure the right people come to the company, but also stay in the company, right? So across all my roles, one thing that I've strongly followed is you hire for the right attitude, skills will come. And skills is something that you will learn even if you have the right set of people to guide you. And that is something that I've imbibed myself, and also ensured that the teams that I work with, they also follow the same regime, and they end up being successful in their journey in the company that I was with. And over the years, be it Make My Trip, be it Airtel, Expedia, or Delivery, it has been always a very rapid sort of environment that I've worked with. And when you work with delivering today, or the requirement was yesterday, why is it not there, right? So you end up taking up or soaking up a lot of pressure because the business has to deliver, and you have to ensure that in order for the business to deliver, you share the right advice to the business, right? So
Okay.
that is something that my mentors and my past managers have taught me, that if you are to be successful, one, invest in people, and two, invest in people with the right attitude, right? You end up going the long mile than covering the short 100 meters. That's
Great.
my views overall.
Lovely. So great, Pritesh. Thank God you found your coding. I think engineering and then MBA and like also. And lovely to have you guys here. So we'll start with Pritesh. The second question goes to we'll start with you. In a time when there is a trend of layoffs or common hiring freezes are real, what is the framework you use to decide whether to invest in talent or hold back?
Right. So I feel uh, whether it is a hiring freeze, or where you have a lot of positions to fill, or there is the right amount of revenue in place for you to be confident of hiring, you definitely need to invest in people, right? So I feel very strongly on the fact that unless you build within, it is very wrong to go outside and then hire, right? So
Hmm.
you end up hiring a lot of people, the growth for the people inside will remain somewhat plateaued or stagnant for a while, right? So
Okay.
when you have a hiring freeze and there are certain deliverables that are there, so if you have more people who are fungible in the team, I'll talk about my domain primarily. Say for example, you have a product manager who's not only well versed with consumers but also understands supply. You'd rather guide that person to do to do other things than core consumer or supply, so that at a time of need, that person will be like, say, an extra hand when you don't have more people who are joining your team, right? So I feel, one, even when we are yeah, in a phase wherein a lot of companies are laying off, there is hiring freeze, invest in people 100%. And two, ensure whenever you hire, even if you hire, right, hire people who are fungible, and that helps multiple organizations and leaders for that.
Okay. Ravish, your thoughts on this? So I will repeat the question once.
No, I'm good with
When
it.
yeah.
No
Okay.
problem. Thanks. I was closely, intensely following what Pritesh was sharing.
Okay.
So I want to actually add on top of what Pritesh said. And before even I go to the framework that companies use to take the decision of whether we should invest or hold, and this is, I'm telling this specifically so that it is useful for any younger folks who are watching this or who are going to watch. It does look like there is a slowdown. It does look like there is a lot of jobs that are going, but there is also the other side, right? We keep consuming a lot of information, and this entire evolution of GCC, where the data says in last 1 year or 1.5 year, there are 100 plus companies were set up, newly set up companies. And I think that because of the expansion of GCCs, there would be around 2.5 to 3 million jobs will be added by 2030. So there is that growth story also. While historically the companies which were hiring in the past, they are not hiring anymore because of multiple different reasons, because of AI, because of really pivoting into different areas, and also the startup funding has gone down, right? I think we all know, we all follow news. This year the startup funding in India is 25% down compared to the previous year. So yeah, there's
Mm.
cycles of peaks and valleys. But that being there, coming to the point of what framework should any company use as leaders that we should use to decide whether we need to invest or hold back. Um, the first thing is, and Pritesh touched upon this, is profitability, right? He was talking about profits. I think it's a known fact, unless you're a government or a non-profit organization, every organization exists in the market to make profits, right? That's a known fact. And when you're not making profits, obviously you will not invest in more and more hiring. When you're making profits, it's it correlates, right? It directionally it directly impacts the overall hiring. So the first one is the profitability. The second one is efficiency, right? A lot of times companies, no, every day, not a lot of times, every day companies look at their efficiency. It's specific to the number of people that they have and what are they delivering, what is the average output productivity. If the productivity is not great, I don't think any company will hire or will have new hiring plans. So that becomes an important part of the framework. But if they look at the data and say, oh, the teams are already overstretched, then they will hire. So efficiency plays a huge role. And then there is competition. A lot of companies that you see today hiring, they hire because they want to deal with competition, right? They want to be ahead of the game. They want to innovate faster, move faster. So competition is another important one. And the other two things is talent gaps. If any organizations figure out that there are skill and talent gaps and they can't be filled internally, they would obviously go for hiring externally, right? And then final one is the aspirations of the company. Maybe I may not be making profits, the efficiency is fine, there is a lot of competition, but my own aspiration, if I want to be the number one player in this particular domain and I don't have enough people, I would definitely go ahead and hire. So putting together, I'll probably call this framework as PEAT: profitability, efficiency, ambition and aspirations of the company, talent gaps, and also competition. So it's just not like one single binary thing that decides whether we need to hire or not. There's multiple different variable influences the decision of hiring or not.
Okay. So the last point which you told about ambitious, how the company is ambitious, how they want to grow.
Yeah.
Does this also mean that they also hire to enrich their pipeline so that they keep a very steady pipeline so that when everything goes back or like when they're launching something big, they have a ready pool of candidates who they can like.
Yeah. One is pool. The other one is if I have ambitious goals and then my current team size is not enough to realize those goals, I'll have to obviously go and get more hands to join that mission, right? And a lot of companies that you see, though they are not profitable, and this is very true in startups, right? You'll always hear stories, oh, they're burning cash, but still they're hiring. That's the whole thing, right? My ambition, I know that this is where I want to get to. Though I know that I'm not making profits today, I want to still hire more people, because without hiring more people, I can't get there.
Exactly. Great. So, continuing with you, Ramesh, on the third question. So, there's a lot of talk about internal mobility and upskilling. So, with increasing emphasis on this internal mobility and upskilling, how can companies identify like hidden talent inside their teams before hiring externally? So I
Yeah,
think we have touched upon a bit in the last question, but yeah, you can
yeah,
elaborate.
that's a great question, and Pritesh also touched upon the internal talent, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
The biggest competitive advantage any company has over their competitors is their talent, right? Um, Now, the quality of talent that you have itself is an advantage, but then only when you are able to retain at least 70 to 80% of that talent, right? And one of the biggest levers that you can pull to retain that talent is to show multiple different growth paths, varieties, where people can actually move from one role to another role, um, while you're trying to grow them vertically. It's not possible all the time, right? You grow people vertically. There is a limit to growing people vertically. So horizontal growth and internal mobility in a way are synonymous for me. And then a lot of large companies are doing a great job at it, Sarbojit. You
Mm.
take any big company, they have very good internal mobility
Yes.
fees and then framework processes, right? But I want to touch upon only one or two things. Uh, two things, right? One, if you want to have great internal mobility, you first need to have a solid internal marketplace where every, all positions and roles that are available are visible to employees so that they can go and apply.
Mhm.
Right? That's the first thing. The second thing is to really have the transparency and the speed and also the quality of experience for internal candidates. If those operational things are not taken care, it'll become really tough. And then upskilling, I feel, moving on to a different one. Upskilling is not just the responsibility of the organization; it's a collective responsibility of the individual and also the organization. And there are beautiful, very structured programs to upskill. So I strongly feel internal talent is the biggest lever to fill any skill gaps. And then that's one of the things, right? I think organizations slowly moving towards becoming a skill-based organization than a role-based organization. So if you ask anybody, including me, Pritesh, and any talent acquisition leader, they will tell you that we are creating career paths or skill paths where interoperability becomes easier. You have X skill, and then there is Y skill. The there's a lot of close match between these skills, and then you can easily move into that skill, do really well, right? Or
Okay.
invest months of time and then acquire that skill and easily move on. So I think creating those skill paths is super important in identifying right talent. And then a final thing um, is, I think companies, few of the companies already have this, but most companies should definitely focus on identifying the aspirations and the skills of the brilliant people in any organization. If you take care of them, I think you're taking care of 80% of the organization, right? So, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Great, Ramesh. Pritish, the same question. What are your thoughts on this? Like, I will repeat the question. With increasing
No, no,
in.
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. So I second Ramesh's thoughts more on creating awareness and an able internal marketplace, especially when you consider internal mobility. A lot of organizations do it very proactively, a lot not so. And then ensuring that you're the right talent, the top talent, uh, find it easier to move between teams. That is something that a lot of organizations are taking very very seriously and very actively, right? So thoughts on both internal mobility and upskilling. I feel a lot of people in the organization, they look up to a lot of leaders, right? So
Okay.
uh, and in my journey, I've seen that a lot of leaders ensure that whatever area that they operate in, right, they create a lot of visibility about that particular area. For example, say while at Airtel, I had one leader who was heading the data science team, and he was creating the data science team and all areas related to analytics, etc. And he was a very senior leader, uh, who was one person in the room all the time who people would want to ask a lot of questions to, right? So
Okay.
one, I feel very strongly on, if in an organization you have such leaders who are more of, say, magnets to having junior folks ask them more questions, why this, why not that, and very approachable people, uh, people, and especially across streams, maybe in terms of category, product, tech, supply, uh, people want to switch streams primarily looking at certain leaders. So for example, if I would want to move into another domain within HR, then I would want to look at a particular leader and I want to be like him, right? So a lot of people, they end up envisioning that their growth journey should be someone like a particular person. We need to have such people there in the system for them to have that aspiration. That's one, right? Two, I know a lot of organizations do this, that during their year-end appraisal, right? They would want, as Ramesh rightly said, that they would want to have that conversation. What next, right? Do you want to step up to another role? Do you want to switch to another team? Those conversations should not be yearly. I think maybe quarterly, or once in 2 months,
Hmm.
that sort of conversation should happen, especially with your top talent. Your 4 rater, 5 raters should have those conversations, and whenever someone does well, right? So you end up ensuring that you want to keep that particular person in that particular department, right? But why not check with that person? Is there something next that the particular person would want to do? We don't actually end up having that conversation because we are a little selfish, that if one person is doing well in my team, I would rather keep that person in my team and not have this person go to some other person or some other department, right? So that conversation should be a little unself, or you can say more to ensure that the person does well holistically, than to be selfish, that my deliverable is doing so well, he or she is doing so well, why would I want that particular person to go? So that viewpoint, I think, needs change. And you will end up identifying a lot many people if these things are taken care of on a quarterly basis, or much sooner, right? And third, I think, when you talk about upscaling, we have loads of platforms, and we usually don't have, say, in any organization, we don't have, say any sort of recommendation engine which would tell you, like, you should learn these things so that you grow much faster in your role or in the organization. So that is something that a lot of companies outside of India are doing as of now, right? So we may have, say, access to Coursera, or a upgrad, or a degree, or a certification on LinkedIn, etc., right? But do we really know this is beneficial for us? A lot of folks who are right now there on the call as well would not be 100% sure that whatever course they are right now pursuing, or whatever certificate they are right now pursuing, is it beneficial? Is SPHR something that is a mandatory? Can I do without an SPHR, right? So on and so forth. So there is no proper guidance mechanism or a recommendation engine. So if we have even, like, say, a 20-25% view from a senior leader in the organization to tell you, yeah, you should go and do this degree, or you should go and do this certificate course, it helps a lot. I think these three primarily are areas I feel that we can identify, and how we can upskill talent internally.
Okay, great. So I have one follow-up question on this, like for this. See, a lot of colleges, I have seen that good colleges have done this. They can sit for the placements, or they can go build a company and come back within 1 year and then sit for the placements, or the college would help. So does companies also do it, or do you think the company should also do it, so like you can go build your company? If it doesn't work out, you can come back and join back. So is it something like that?
Yeah, so a lot of companies. I know of a couple of companies that I've worked with, who have, say, not only for their top talent, but in general, they allow for sabbaticals, wherein, say, for example, I uh, I feel very burnout. I have had a conversation with my hiring manager, or with my reporting manager, and I feel maybe taking a break would help me. And I would then in this break try to learn two or three more skills or understand two or three more things, and then with a clear head come back and start work in the same company. A lot of companies may feel that this will give an opportunity for them to look out for a change, but a lot of people come back, then stay in the organization for a lot of maybe 5 to 10 years timeline, right? So I feel that only comes with trust, Sarbajit, right? So if you trust an individual and give that individual an opportunity to go learn new skills, regardless whether the particular person is working actively right now or taking a sabbatical, that particular person will pay back, or come back and do good for the company as well. So that is something that I feel has I've seen people do, and I I feel that there are other companies who are following the suit.
Okay, great. Okay, so move on to the next question. I'll continue with Pritish on this. Pritish, in times of high uncertainty, what value should companies reaffirm to keep their employer brand strong?
Right. In terms of say values, I feel uh, a lot of companies right now are very cognizant of being empathetic to their employees. Right. So I think rather than showing that this is what you need to do, I would rather come sit with you. Let's try solving this problem together. If you do that with multiple people across your streams, they will return the favor in one way or the other, right? So that's paramount. Like, so ensuring your organization is empathetic towards your needs and how you do as an individual more than how you perform as an employee is utmost. Then I think a lot of areas, and this is something that uh, works well in be it mid-sized companies or large organizations, that you have to invest in your internal brand. Then you ensure that you give your a lot of people in your organization a lot of ownership, a lot of accountability, a lot of non micromanaged stuff to deal with, right? So if you feel that there is no one watching you, you will run faster, right? So if you always see that there is someone who's ensuring that you don't do this wrong, or maybe this can be done in a better way, then you're always walking on eggshells, and people don't like to walk on eggshells. I feel people grow faster when you have a lot of transparency, ownership, accountability, and this helps move things faster than ensuring the perfect way to do things, right? So as I said, so empathy is one, and I feel ownership and accountability is another area. Which will definitely help any employer keep a strong employer.
Great. Ramesh, question for you is, if you could rewrite the rule book for talent acquisition in large global companies and organizations, what is one rule you would add and one rule you would want to delete?
Yeah. Very, very interesting question. Sorry about that. I don't know if I can talk about the rule, but then I can probably talk about a couple of aspects: what can be included and what can be excluded. Right. A lot of companies that you see in across the globe, I think they do not really measure the quality of the hiring that we do. Most of the times, the activity or the number or the volume of hires is measured. I think that every company should adopt to measuring the quality of the hiring any talent acquisition team is doing. And I'll also want to add, and this is going to be difficult and we need another hour to really talk about why I'm saying what I'm saying is I think we should start, you also from the same fraternity, we are all talking all recruiting people, right? I think we should start measuring the business value talent acquisition adds quarter and quarter. It becomes much more easier to do that in sales organizations. I mean, we can't really attribute all the sales done by a certain individual we've hired to talent acquisition, but some part of that value definitely belongs to talent acquisition. And engineering, it becomes much more trickier to measure that. But I think it'll be really good to measure the business value the talent acquisition adds, because most of the times, though, whatever we say, though a lot of things have changed, but we are still in a lot of companies. A lot of companies actually see talent acquisition as a transactional unit. We have so many positions. We go tell them, they'll just bring resumes, and we will fill roles, right? But there's a lot of science and there's a lot of work that happens in choosing. Um, I always tell this to hiring managers. The people that you're choosing are the ones that I chose. I'm already adding value, right? So yeah, so I think business value should definitely be added as part of measuring the success of TA. And then what I would probably take off um, is vanity projects. I'm sorry, whoever loves projects, but then any project that is not directly linked to the vision of your TA team and does not really bring in actual impact, I think they should just go away. It's waste of time for everybody, and at the end of it, there's nobody who's going to benefit out of it, right? So take off vanity projects, and then measure the quality of hiring you're doing, and also the quality, the value that you're bringing to the business.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Uh, So let's continue with Ramesh on this. The last question from the list of questions which I have:
Sure.
if you could design a resilient organization company for 2030, what five human-centered principles would you build it on? And it's basically almost like a small playbook that you would hand out to a CEO.
Yeah. Thanks for asking that question. It's a very deep question, and I'm kind of so glued into that sentence you've used, human centric. Most companies, in any company which is designing any value system for them, they're either aimed at growth, or the employees, or the customers, right? But now I think the world has changed so much, right? And it's going to change very rapidly. And I keep telling this to all of my friends and my colleagues that 10 years from now, we're going to be living in a very, very brutal world.
Yeah.
It's not going to be as probably good as this, and probably we'll look back and say those times were really great. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I could be completely wrong, and I want to be completely wrong. And then when that happens, right? Obviously, any organization is a reflection of the society, right? So then, organization probably will also become very tension oriented, and a lot of things move really fast. Everybody is worried. So I want to actually focus on removing that tension. So as a result, the values that I want to build is, the first one I can think of is operate with deep trust, right? I think that sets the foundation for collaboration, helping each other, and then it removes friction. Right now, in any organization, if you see, the biggest enemy for innovation and progress is friction. I want my pie, I want to overstep on your role, you know who gets the credit, and all of that entire tension around collaboration. So if we remove that, and then we operate with a lot of trust, it'll be amazing. I remember writing this on my blog. You may find it funny, or I also find it funny sometimes, is as as human beings, as individuals, as professionals, when we are working at our workplaces, sometimes trust doesn't come naturally, right? Which I think trust is a natural ability of human beings. Like, for example, you're taking a flight from Bangalore to Hyderabad. You don't actually go check the credentials of the pilot, thinking, oh my God, will this guy fly? Okay, right? You trust the process and then go with it. But a lot of times when we're taking decisions at workplace, we don't really trust, right, each other. So I think that becomes super important for any organization. I would definitely put that value. And then measure real impact, right? That would be my second value. A lot of times, as leaders and as managers, we all get carried away with flashy stuff, where people come and talk nice thing. They're selling about small things that they've done. I think that should stop. While the real hardworking, innovative people quietly working at their desk, the person who is selling will get the credit, right? So we need to measure the real impact, which is in line with the vision and the ambitions of the company, right? And then also the I don't know, experience is important, and we should really build a value around it, for the company and for the team. Great experience is the real value. That you provide great experience to your customers, you provide great experience to your employees, they'll stick. Great experience to your customers, they will stick with your account, or your sales will go up. You are able to retain your customers. Um, those are the three things that I can think of. And then I should also probably say, I'm trying to connect with the trust, right? And then in the brutal world which we are going to live, which I think is going to be the brutal world, is going beyond your capacity to help each other should be the fundamental value for any company.
Okay.
That's going to operate in like 10, 20 years from now. I think we should build values and companies around generosity, kindness, as Pritesh called out, empathy in a way, right? Like if one of my colleague has any issues, I should be able to go beyond my capacity to go help them. Um, yeah. So those, and then finally, can I say this? I think it will become controversial. If I had a chance to design my own ideal organization, one of the value that I'm going to put is have this organization has no place for nonsense, or have no place for nonsense, no politics, no drama. Just do great work, demand excellence from each other, support each other unconditionally, go home, and enjoy life. Right. So yeah, operate with trust, measure real impact, no nonsense, and then just focus on experience and creating real value. Those are the five values I would bring in if I'm designing the culture, or if I'm responsible of really bringing a new organization into existence.
Great, lovely. And I think the thing which you told about trust, like we don't check the credentials of the pilot before flying. I got the head of TA at Innovation, who was an ex-pilot, who told me I will never fly with this kind of certain place. I don't fly because you see that like the Air India accidents and all that happen because I
Okay.
don't fly. So he checks all the credentials.
Is it? Yeah,
Yeah.
most people don't.
Okay, Pritish, what are your thoughts on this? I'll repeat the question if you want to. Like,
No, I'm good. I'm good. So,
yeah, okay,
yeah, I mean, I second Ramesh on the factors of trust. So, and while you asked this question, I was thinking, aloud, and I figured this is something that I do at my home as well. So I have a 4-year-old, right? So she would come to me with things that probably I feel maybe too dangerous for a 4-year-old, right? So, but I can't tell that person that you should not do this. Otherwise, if she doesn't learn it herself, she'd probably feel that, oh, if I see something strange that I've not experienced in the past, that said not to go there. So I feel in the organizations today as well, there should be some amount of safety to disagree, safety to experiment, safety to fail. I think we should not live in fear, right? So if you don't attempt to do something, you would not be able to understand why is it going wrong. if
yeah,
you if you fear that, oh, if I don't deliver this OND charter, right, and maybe my job is at stake, right,
mm,
that feeling should go away, first thing. And I second Ramesh. A no nonsense organization uh, is a place wherein you give freedom to people and ensure they are safe regardless whatever pursuit they are successful or not. So that's number one, right? uh, Two, I feel very strongly on when you want to create a resilient organization for future, I think it is important for people to understand uh, their the core value that they bring to the organization. Most goal settings that happen in current world is how much metric that you're moving, even in TA, right? So we end up moving turnaround time, we end up moving candidate experience. But how is my turnaround time, how is my candidate experience linked to the clear vision of the organization? you know that every person in the organization should understand. If you can't make one individual in the organization not understand their importance for the overall company, then you fail as a company, right? So that's two, right? And one of the core things that I feel in terms of creating a resilient workforce is to ensure that there is some amount of visibility people get. So usually what happens is, and Ramesh did point out in one of his snippet, that uh, I work on a certain thing, but there is someone who's presenting that particular charter to somebody else. So that somebody else who's a leader feels that this person has done most of the work. I may have, but I'm not there to present it to that person, right? So and, a lot of organizations this usually happens. So for example, product and tech work closely together. So if you link, for example, success of tech by how much product has shaped the consumer journey, vis-a-vis how much the tech depth has, or overall tech expansion has worked for the organization, dependent on what rating the product people get, they will work more closely and more affectionately with each other, rather than ending up fighting with each other in a non collaborative way. They would want to work more closely with each other because their goals are linked with each other. So if you succeed, then I succeed. If I succeed, then you succeed. So I think that way you build a lot of one trust, and also ensure that the company is moving in the right direction without having any sort of qualms around I am trying to work day and night on a particular project while the other person is getting more visibility. So that should go away. I think these three things I feel would definitely help build resilient organizations in future.
Great. Lovely. So we move on to the next section where we have a few questions from the audience, which they have asked before over email. So the first question is: as automation and tools replace routine tasks, what human traits will become more important for leaders? Anyone can take that.
Okay, I can take that. I think, look, this conversation and in general, every day we are actually looking at our work from the lens of what will generative AI do for our works and the workplaces. I think this question also comes from that point of view. The the important things that leaders should keep in mind, and I tell this to myself all the time, is creativity is super important for any leader, either today or in the AI world, because I think as we see in the current shape, the AI, it's a very good tool for intellectual stimulation and to really discuss with AI, whether it's ChatGPT, Gemini, or you call anything. But then they don't come up with new ideas on themselves, right? So the leader, the role of leaders to really create those use cases, whether it's talent acquisition, product management, technology, sales, right? So that is important. The second one, quality, which is important today, tomorrow, any day, is empathy. And empathy is not kindness, right? I mean, probably they're closely related. Being able to really see the other person's point of view, and then relate to it and trying to help and figure out the situation, that is extremely important for any leader. We know leaders without empathy, or we know leaders who come across as someone who doesn't have empathy, and they don't have a lot of reputation across the world, right? And then, yeah, so that is important. Final thing is emotional intelligence, right? To really assess the situation. And we have and I keep telling this, whoever wants to become a manager, for the first time manager, um, when they come to me in during conversations, I always told them to read transactional analysis, the ego states of individuals in during interactions, right? We always roam between the adult, parent, and child ego. And then when your team member comes to you and say, like, I'm really worried today, I'm so stressed, you can't be saying, that's your work, go do it, right? You need to play that parent ego. So emotional intelligence becomes extremely important for any leader. So those are the three things that comes to my mind at this point.
Great. So, Pritesh, you want to add on this? Like,
Yeah, I second most of the things that Ramesh just mentioned. Uh, uh, I feel a couple of things that I want to add. As leaders, I think a lot of norms have changed, right? So uh, there are different dimensions to leaders, like depending on which department you're part of, which division you're part of, how much work stress you have, how many people report to you, right? But in every phase of your leadership, I feel at a leadership level or at a CXO level, one needs to stay calm in most situations. I think that gives a lot of confidence to people who are closely working with them. So if you're calm, I've read somewhere in psychology, like if you stay calm, most of the situations they end up solving themselves, right? Rather than you overthinking of a particular situation and then probably doing what you shouldn't do, right? So you probably need to stay calm in a situation when, for example, what Ramesh said. So your reporting comes to you and says that today probably he or she is too stressed. You maybe take that person out for a walk, maybe spend 5 minutes, sip some coffee, talk, rather than saying that this is your problem, not my problem, right? So that is something that is essential for any leader, right? And two, I think when you are at a leadership role, there are a lot of challenges that get thrown to you, right? So maybe the MD who's working very closely with you, right? He or she pushes you to do things or take certain charters which is not humanly possible. So you maybe you know push them back, or maybe disagree with them, come to a middle path, and not push whatever pressure that you get from the top to people who are part of your team. So maybe you should always act as a sponge. I think a lot of leaders have now started this, that uh, you are recognized because of your calm nature, how you take up pressure and not throw it to your team, and they are recognized, like Ramesh said. So people know that who are calm in difficult situations and act as a sponge, or whenever your team needs a trust fall, they are there to catch you, right? So that is essential. That is an essential part of being a leader.
great, lovely. We move on to the next question from the audience. The audience question for next one is: how do you make companies anti-fragile, even to improve under stress and not just withstand it? Anyone can answer.
I can take this up. And a couple of things that I wanted to point out, right? So uh, if you want to make your company anti-fragile, first you need to remove any sort of conventional way of doing things, bureaucracy, anything, right? So there is no one way of doing things correctly. It can be any way. So be it, like, say, in talent acquisition, we end up debating a lot on particular compensation, particular level of a candidate, why this candidate is rated X, why not X plus one, right? That's a daily toil that we go through, right? But if you remove the bureaucracy, if you want to so if you decide a particular candidate is good for you and will do the job for you, then you end up hiring the person, rather than figuring ways to maybe cut down on cut down on level, cut down on reporting. Don't We should always look at negating what internal bureaucracy you have to get the right people in. So that's one, right? And two, I think in a lot of situations, uh, organizations feel they would want to move fast, but they put shackles around a lot of people, right? So you move fast, but probably you'll not get this marketing budget. You will move fast, but probably this many number of headcounts you will not get, right? So realism is something that is missing in a lot of organizations. So that realism needs to be there for people to deliver, right? So if you want to make your organization anti-fragile, you, through that channel of empathy, understand what is realistic and achievable and what is unrealistic and probably imaginary for people to run to. People would want to go and run a mile if they know that this is something that they will try hard but will achieve. But if it is an impossible task and then they know from the starting point it is impossible, they will be demotivated. So you don't want demotivated people working in the company. You want motivated people working in the company. So these are two things that I feel would really help organizations build their anti-fragility.
Okay. Ramesh, your thoughts on this?
I think Pritesh summarized it beautifully. So let me just add a couple of this, just a couple of points, and then conclude it. Three of us, or anybody who's watching, if we ask a basic question to ourselves or to the audience, saying that what are the companies you think will thrive for next 20 years? I I don't think anybody will struggle to answer that question. They will definitely give you top five companies, right? In tech, in engineering, in infrastructure space, right? Now, what I'm trying to say is all of these companies who are managing and mitigating these uncertain areas, uncertainty, and difficult situations, they have few things in common, right? One is brilliant talent. The top of the top, the cream of the cream talent goes and works with them. So that is really important for any company to be resilient and then thrive in uncertain situations. Second, you take up the culture of any organization which lasted for more than 5 decades or 2 decades and still really growing. They have a strong culture of innovation, failing fast, and then they actually move really fast, right? And that is important. The third one is the infrastructure that you have along with the culture as an enable the infrastructure that you have, right? The resources, the systems that you build, uh, the money in your pocket, right? That's important. uh, Also the resources, culture, and the top talent. If you have these three things, I think you can mitigate with any challenge and deal with any difficult situation and still thrive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Hopefully, we have got the answers, and a lot of more questions coming in. I will send you an email with all the questions. So right now we have a candidate question which just came in. For someone building the career in this kind of a market, what is one mindset or skill they should invest in to stay relevant, no matter how fast or how slow the hiring moves? So for both of you from a candidate perspective, a job seeker perspective. So
Pritesh, do you want me to take that?
You can. You can.
All right. Okay. Um, I get this. I have a bunch of nephews and nieces. I keep getting this question like, should I learn Python or Java? Or what is it? What's going on now? Or should I move into DevOps? And then I tell them, and this is my standard statement, and I'll probably tell this to my daughters too, is you're living in the world of LLMs, and to succeed, you need to become an ALM, which is the anytime learning machine. You you learn certain skill today, it probably will become obsolete, and nobody's going to use that, right? As Pritesh said, that started with testing, but now you don't see a lot of testing engineers. There were a lot of testing engineers, including my friends, who started off and then did really well. So I don't really point out to a certain skill set, any specific skill set, but I want the younger folks who are coming out of the colleges to be really fast in learning and adapt to the changing scenarios. So yeah, they need to become ALMs, anytime learning machine.
great. Uh, Pritish, your thought on this?
Yeah, so I'll add on to what Ramesh said. I think learning is one area definitely, but I think along with learning, they need to adapt to situations and environments as well. I think uh, you know people end up learning a lot of things, but find it difficult to adapt to situations. And situations can be a plenty, like an organization scaling things, and maybe you're put to lead certain fronts where you've not ventured into. So how do you adapt to it? Like, I think that is one thing that people need to learn, that if you're comfortable with one sort of an environment, I think you would want to stay with it. That should go as soon as possible. I think if that is controlled, and you also have a good learning curve. You want to learn new things every single day. There are people in my team, right? So who probably very fresh out of college, who feel, who've not had exposure to understanding how does the restrictive stock units work or ESOPs work. They sometimes come sit with me during conversations with candidates to understand how do I pitch to the candidate. And I've done that. I played a similar role erstwhile at Airtel as well. When my CPO, like the chief product officer, used to pitch a particular role to a -1, right? So how does he take the call, right? So how he says what will be a success in Airtel, what will not be a success in Airtel. And for example, if a candidate asks for more comp, more equity, etc., how does he, channelize that conversation to more understanding whether that particular person is coming in for the comp or he or she is coming in for the role, right? So all those tiny facets, you should always continue to learn. Like, nobody's learned everything which will happen in future, right? So but then the ability to ensure that you keep on learning and that mindset to adapt, I think will change the game for a lot of new people who are right now searching for jobs.
Great. Lovely. I think a lot of insights for the job seekers as well. Now we move on to the very interesting part, which is the rapid fire round. And so there are no right answers, just the human side of two very serious job titles. So we'll start with Ramesh or Pritish. Like, you can let me know. I have the questions ready to go.
I can go.
Great. Pritish, if your younger self met you today, what do you think they would be most surprised by?
Oh, me pursuing a career in HR. I would never have thought that I would pursue a talent acquisition role at this stage of my life. Never. I would have been a footballer rather.
Okay. Great. If you could instantly learn one non-work skill tomorrow and be amazing at it, what would you pick?
I want to pick a string instrument, the guitar or a veena.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great. What is the first thing you would do if you became the PM of India for a day, Prime Minister of India for a day?
Hmm. Maybe more jobs.
Good jobs. Okay. Uh, okay. So, Ramesh, if you could have a superpower of being immortal, what is the first dangerous thing you would do?
The first dangerous thing? You're
Yeah.
putting me on spot, yeah. I would, I don't know. I'd just not dangerous, but a very selfish thing. I would just make India great at everything.
Okay.
Far better than the first world countries or the top economies.
Great. Uh, okay. Pritish, what did you do with your first salary?
Oh, I bought a watch for my father.
Ramesh, if you could be a Bollywood star, which movie would you want to be?
Oh my God. Never really thought about it. From the existing movies or any movie that I can choose.
Any movie, any movie.
Um, I would Yeah, I would make a movie on a philosopher and a writer by name Chalam, and then I'll play the lead role. He's a Telugu philosopher actually. So
Oh, great. Pritish, if you could have dinner with any one person from any time in history, who would it be, and what is the first thing you would ask them?
Any person in history. I would definitely want to sit and have a chat with Subhash Chandra Bose. And the first thing that I would ask is there a faster way to get India to freedom than what
Okay,
he did?
that's interesting.
very interesting. Ramesh, if you could be invisible for 24 hours, what is the very first thing you would do?
Ah, I always imagine going behind the stumps and then getting more wickets for Indian team every time India lost. I
Okay,
used to imagine that. But on a serious note, I would. What will I do? Yeah, I will. I don't know. I'll go get all the most valuable books that exist in every library and then store it in my home.
Okay. Okay. Pritish, if you could go back to any age in your life for 1 week, which age would you choose and why?
KG.
Age.
Best age would be 4 years, 5 years. You don't need to worry about everything. Your parents take care of you. You get more time to play and sleep and not worry about what will happen tomorrow. Any
Okay.
day.
Ramesh, what is one totally childish thing you still enjoy doing today, even today, like doing even today? Yeah.
I can't think of anything. I'm actually a very serious person, I guess. uh, I yeah, I bite my nails.
Okay.
I can't say that I enjoyed, but that's a very good stress buster for me. And I'm thinking harder. I bite my nails.
Pritish, what is the most ridiculous thing you have ever spent money on, but you still do not regret?
Oh, I think I spent quite a bit of money on buying gaming PCs. So not once, not twice, I think 3 or 4 times while I was in school and in college. Uh, I don't have, I mean, any of them right now with me. So, I mean, I invested a lot of my pocket money and my parents' hard earned money into those PCs, but I think they went obsolete once that era of games went away with the PlayStation and Xbox coming in. So I think we used to play a lot of PC games on consoles
Uh,
and CPUs.
yes, yes.
I think that was one time when I invested a lot in ensuring that I have the best graphics card and all that. But I think that era is gone altogether.
Yeah. Ramesh, the last question, and that's for you. If you had to choose a completely different career for 1 year, just for fun, what would you try?
I'll try singing, but I'm scared I'll make a horrible singer. But I would definitely try that.
Okay, that's a wrap, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you so much with your honesty for answering those questions. And it was lovely having you. And thank you so much for taking time off our busy schedule and coming to join me. So I think hopefully you loved it and you enjoyed it.
All right. Thanks, Abhijit. And I enjoyed joining the panel along with Pritesh. I wish you all the best, and we should meet sometime when I'm in Bangalore.
Yes.
I really enjoyed. Yeah.
Thanks, Arujit. Thank you, Ramesh. Great catching up, and I think I hope the people who've joined in have had their share of understanding, and our views have helped them in some way or the other.
Great. Thank you so much, guys. Take care and have fun. Take
All
care.
right.
Thank,
Thanks,
thank
everyone.
you. Yeah, thank you.